You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Glad you could join me here today on part one of our weekend host calls, where we will be answering our community's questions. We do that each and every weekend. Excited that I think it's been now 3.5 years in the running with answering thousands of questions from people all over the world on all things wellness, weight loss, anti-aging, health coaching, mindset, everything that you could possibly think of as it relates to being a healthy human being. That's what we try to work on. That's what we try to specialize here on the Cabral Concept. And, I'm excited because each and every weekend we get to see new questions, what's coming in, and I get to give people a starting point, right? A place that they may not have thought about before, of how to end up eventually healing themselves, getting well, and then, of course, hopefully paying that forward to someone else, teaching someone else how they got well. So, let's just dive right into the questions. It is that time of the week, and we do get to answer about 5 to 10 questions with every show. So I want to make sure I get in as many as possible. As I'm just opening up my document here, there's no prep for these questions. I want it to be really kind of raw and how I would answer to someone basically just sitting across from me inside of my practice, and just let them know, this is where we need to get started. Based on this question, based on your story, here's what we need to look at first. And I'm basing my answer on almost 20 years now of working with people all around the world, and that's led to quite a bit of research and information being able to help people. Okay, first question's from Valeria. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I believe I have gastroparalysis. For about 2 years, my hunger has been abnormal, or not as normal as it used to be. Especially after I have cheat days, I can end up having no hunger for 3 days at one point, lasting, and when I do feel hungry, it's something super small. Are there any ways to bring back my normal hunger? I tried fasting and it also doesn't work. Okay, Valeria, you are on the right track. You're on the right track. So we need to do a little bit more of this. I actually answered this last week, and I hope that you tuned in. Your question is from April 9th, and I answered a bunch of questions last week. Let me see if I can find it. Well, I'm not going to be able to go back and find it, but it was on last week's podcast. And it had to do with Ayurveda and how to build up the appetite and digestion. So here's the thing. Gastroparalysis, for those of you who don't know what it is, well, it's essentially the musculature of the entire digestive system, but usually referred to as the stomach, and paralysis meaning slowing, stopping of that movement. So since there's less peristaltic movement, it means that the food either stays in the stomach longer or in the intestines longer. This happens from a clinical perspective of when someone either has improper or imbalanced gut bacteria, or they have a high level of stress, or they have low or weak digestion. And that can come from low stomach acid, low bile, low enzymes. So what I'm recommending to you first and foremost, what is it, right? We need to answer that question. I would love for you to run the organic acids test, and if possible, the stool test. And all of those, of course, are available at equilibriumnutrition.com. We ship them to 19 countries all around the world. I give you my reading of your personal lab, my recommendations, and you get on a call with one of my amazing health coaches to take you through the lab results as well as the recommendations. So that's the first thing, because then we don't have to guess anymore what it is. The second is that we can build up your digestion right away. And we can do that by at least using things such as ginger tea or a little bit of apple cider vinegar in water with meals or right before a meal. And again, you don't want to drink too much water during a meal, but something with heat will do that. ACV as well as ginger tea will do it. The Ayurvedic herbs I spoke about last week called Trikatu works as well. If it's gut-based, we'll find it. If it's candida, bacterial overgrowth, H. pylori, we'll find that. It will be on your stool test and your organic acids test. Sometimes people that are very stressed do not have very good digestive motility because all the blood flow is more to the extremities, pulled out of the core. So that we could help with the ultimate deep sleep protocol, or simply adrenal soothe at dinner and magnesium at dinner at least as well. Maybe one capsule of full spectrum magnesium with lunch too. That's a place to get started, Valeria, and we'll help you from there with those labs. Jess is up next. Thank you for all you do. Can you talk about the fluoride acne connection? I have many others, and I have found online have great skin while abroad and horrible skin the second I'm back in the States. We are also the only country that has high levels of fluoridated water. How can we avoid fluoride and therefore help to get clear skin? Is there something that we can put in bathwater to help decrease fluoride? I don't have ability for filter. Okay, good question. Everybody has the ability to filter their water, though. Well, you can always prove me wrong. I'm always happy to be proven wrong for sure. But you can put on a shower filter, which will take the fluoride out of your shower water because it's coming from your tap. And for a bath filter, you can use the bath filter that I recommend. You can actually just go to stevencabral.com/podcast and just type in bath filter or water filter, and it will pop up, or shower filter, and it'll pop up on the bath filter page. So mine doesn't fit perfectly on my bathtub for my girls. So what I do is I actually take a thick elastic and I hook it through the top of the bath filter and I wrap it around the spout. So is it the prettiest thing in the whole world? No, but it does the job, and I'm going to make sure that the water that flows through for my girls does not have chlorine or fluoride in it. Okay, so let's get to the other part. How is fluoride connected to acne? Well, two simple ways, two very straightforward ways. I shouldn't say they're simple. Simple once you know it, but it is straightforward. The first one is this: fluoride, along with the chlorine that we're forgetting about in your water, wipes out a lot of the good bacteria in your gut. That's one. So what happens if you wipe out a lot of the good bacteria? Well, you allow bad bacteria, and I'm using that in air quotes, that's always supposed to be there, but it can overgrow. It's allowed to overgrow. And the second part is that chlorine will pretty much kill bacteria for sure, not as good on fungus. It does work, but not as well. So we have a lot of fungal overgrowth that also starts to open up your gut wall. So as it opens up the gut wall, meaning so you have these cells that make up your gut wall, your intestinal wall. It's called the lamina propria, and those luminal cells are only one cell thick. And between them, there's a naturally thin gap. Well, by taking in fluoride, or namely chlorine, it will allow those to open up a little wider. This will allow proteins and bacteria to actually seep out of your intestines and into your bloodstream. That could very easily be a cause of acne. This is all scientifically proven. I'm not giving you anything that hasn't already been medically and scientifically proven. The second part that a lot of people forget about are those people that have thyroid-based issues can also be prone to more acne. Now, fluoride is part of the haloid or halotope group of chemicals. Those haloids will actually displace iodine in the thyroid, which weakens the thyroid. That could lead to more acne. So hopefully, Jess, that helps by running a thyroid adrenal hormone lab, and also by running an organic acids test and or stool test. You'll be able to find out how they may be affecting you. But the bottom line is this: let's stay away from fluoride. If you believe in fluoride, swish around some tap water in your mouth if you want, but there's no need to ever swallow it. No need to ever swallow fluoride. It's not going to do anything for our internal system. We'll put it this way: not good for you. So don't give it to your kids. Don't give it to yourself. I did a whole podcast on fluoride. Check that out. And of course, all the podcasts are always free, and they'll always be free. And one more thing that I'll add to this is drink spring water whenever you can. And if not, get a really good filter and just type in water filter, and you'll see the ones that I recommend for every budget. Darren writes in, "Hey, Dr. Ball, good show as always. Really admirable how the shoes is consistently on the highest quality, and you never seem to run out of topics to educate the masses on." I assume that says shows, or should say shows. My question is with regards to your personal view on prescription medication. Are medications for psychological disorders overprescribed in your opinion? Is the American population too reliant on them, or are doctors too eager to give them out? Can antipsychotics cause brain damage or whatever side effects? What would be your first line of attack giving someone who has perceived mental issues, drugs, or recommendations for someone who wishes to come off them in a safe way? There are many who argue thelat, Thelat, their body can't produce serotonin, etc. So why is Prozac and other pharmaceuticals come in handy? There are those who argue they lack, their body can't produce, maybe something like that. Surely there are means before going down that path. Am I right? I'm not personally suffering from any of these issues, and I'm aware you cannot legally treat, cure any disease, but I'd like to know your modus operandi and views on the topic, as I believe it makes for a healthy debate. Keep up the great work, Darren. Darren, I'm happy to answer this question, and as you just said, I don't cure, treat, or diagnose any disease. That we leave that to conventional medicine and only conventional medicine. What I look at as underlying root causes. Whether you're talking about the health of the brain or the body or the mind, it's all the same. It really is. Now, I want to be sensitive to this topic. I really do. You're talking to someone that used to have massive amounts of anxiety, very high levels of high temper, irritability, and also a high level of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. It's not just me, so I don't want to use myself as the example. I've worked with many people who are diagnosed with depression, anxiety, many other issues. Their bodies lack the nutrients as well as have higher amounts of gut toxicity or toxicity in general that are leading to this as well. There's no doubt in my mind that some people are predisposed to this. There's no doubt about it. I see some people, parents are pretty happy-go-lucky, kids are pretty happy-go-lucky, fantastic. Some people a little bit more anxiety-prone. It means you're more prone, but it doesn't mean you have to have it. Just like all my grandparents had rheumatoid arthritis. My parents got rheumatoid arthritis. I got it when I was 17, 18 years old. I don't have it today. Am I prone to it? Absolutely. So I want to be sensitive to that. People are prone to certain things in their genetics, but it doesn't mean they have to have it. If your body is not producing enough serotonin, we need to always ask the question, why is it not producing enough serotonin? Is because you're in chronic stress, okay? Can we help to relieve the stress? Or is it because you have a lot of bacterial overgrowth, SIBO, candida, Crohn's, colitis, food sensitivities, H. pylori, etc.? Because we know 90% of that serotonin is made in the gut and needs to make its way to the brain. We also know that the brain and the gut are connected through nerves, and those nerves send signals back and forth. Very important to look at that. We also know that people are far more prone to anxiety when they have lower levels of magnesium. So we work on people at the deepest level possible. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you ever need medication in a life-saving condition, you should use the medication. I'm not here to prescribe medication. I'm not here to say good or bad or judge. What I'm here to say is that you can never fix a dis-ease of the body with medication. You can't. You can mask the symptoms, but you can't get your body healthy. You can get it sick care. You can get rid of the sickness by masking the symptoms. But if you're like me and you believe that the symptoms are showing you that there's an imbalance in the body, then I want to work on the imbalances. However, if you can't function on a daily basis, you are suicidal, or have tendencies that you may hurt yourself or others, get medicated as you need it, but work then with a practitioner that can help you at a deep level. Work with someone on behavioral-based therapy, and I mean that through neurolinguistic programming, Psych-K, emotional freedom technique. I list these in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect. Do acupuncture, use hypnosis, do whatever you need to from that part and that perspective. And then also work, though, on what are your deficiencies? Do you have hidden copper toxicity? Run the big 5 labs. You'd be amazed at how so many people with depression have high levels of omega-6s for inflammation, causing mood-based disturbances. There are books written on this. I don't want to go on a huge tangent, but here's the thing. There's a time and a place for everything. Long-term use of antidepressants actually burns out your serotonin pathways, though, your neurotransmitter pathways. Let's be careful with that. Don't use it as a long-term solution. Get the help you need. Continue to work on yourself at the deepest level possible. We'll support you in any way that you need, and you can get well. There's no doubt about that. You can get well. All right. Remove the food dyes. Remove the Diet Cokes and all of those things. I could go on and on. Get your body healthy. Get it clean. A healthy body, it can't be sick mentally, spiritually, or physically. All right. Thank you, Darren, for writing in. Appreciate the kind words as well. Daniel's up next. I've been studying your teachings for a little over a year now. When I first discovered your podcast, my average weekend was spent lying in bed with zero motivation to do anything. I have no desire to see friends, tend to do house chores or even visit family. This, of course, was a recent addition to my lifelong chronic allergy battle I fought through. Today, I look over my lab work and see pollen build up on the sidewalks of Houston and remember what my life used to be before I found you. 3 protocols and lots of nutrition later, I'm living the life I've always dreamed of having. I wanted to thank you for that. By the time this airs, I should be wrapping up level 2 of IHP, and I'm going to take all this gratitude I have for you and use it to help others. Man to man, you are my hero. And before I get into Daniel's question, I want to let you know that when someone speaks these words to me, I don't take it lightly. I had to pause that recorder right there because I don't think that maybe I seem like it, maybe I don't. I don't know how I come off to people. I simply try to be me. That's it. But I am someone who's very sensitive when it comes to people getting their life back. To this day, I get very emotional when I think of myself in my late teens and in my early 20s. And I remember that kid, basically, because I was a kid, who was so lost, had no idea what he was doing with his life, and was just so despondent, depressed, down, and really worried if they would be able to ever live up to the ideal of what they wanted their life to be. And at that time, I didn't even know what that could be. So when I read the words of someone like Daniel, and I'm going to screenshot this and just when I'm ever not maybe feeling my best, I can go back and see like, hey, it made a difference in one person's life. And so for all of the people out there, becoming an integrative health practitioner, this is what it's all about. It's what it's all about. I've never done this for the money, never done this for any type of prestige or anything like that. It's all about helping people and seeing success stories like this. It's what drives me. It's what fuels me. And to this day, I can see myself in Daniel's position. I had terrible allergies. I didn't want to leave my house. I didn't even speak to people because I had no energy. My body was starved for real nutrition. I had so many toxicities. I had all sorts of gut-based dysfunction. So I just wanted to take a moment right there and just simply thank everyone who writes in with all the kind words. I read all of your reviews on iTunes and other players. I read your comments on social media. I can't always respond back. I get now over 500 a day. It would take me a full day. It would take 8 hours, just spending 1 minute on each one to respond back. But I want to let you know that you are why I do a daily podcast. Because if it helps one person, and what if that one person was me? What if my mentor never responded to me? What if, I never read a book or any of those things? So just thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you. Daniel's question is this. After breaking a water fast, the very first moment the food enters my mouth, the roof of my mouth aches with extreme tenderness. It has always done this no matter what I break the fast with. Recently discovered it happened to my mother during the fasting part of the detox, and even found another member in the group who experienced the same. Unfortunately, these are the only 3 people in my life I can relate to other than one other I found on a massive Google search years ago, still with no explanation. So the symptoms does not reside on its own in anywhere from 3 to 24 hours. Would love your thoughts, Dr. C. All right, Daniel, I've never experienced this, and I haven't heard of anyone else experiencing it either. So we need to try to work through, though, how we would figure out this answer. And I would ask you, you say right here, as I go back, you're breaking a water fast. Well, an overnight water fast is something different than a 24-hour water fast. Does it happen if you break an overnight water fast? So I figure things out. Look, just kind of follow me here for a second. This is what I do. Do you get the ache and the pain in your mouth if you go 3 hours between a meal? If the answer is no, okay. If you go 6 hours between lunch and dinner, do you get it? If the answer is no, interesting. Okay. If you go overnight from 6 at night to 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, do you get it? If the answer is no, I find that interesting as well. If the answer is you only get it after 18 or 24 hours, could it be from you not using the chewing motion in your mouth? Okay. So what I'm looking at is this ache in your mouth simply because you haven't used those specific muscles in that way, just like, if you hadn't done something you're used to doing on a day-to-day basis, like, okay, I took a week off from exercise. Oh, a little bit more sore, or my muscles burn a little bit getting back into it. I'm just wondering if that's it. That's what I'm thinking the ache is. You not using that and then going back and using it, and then after that, it goes away. So, I don't know if that's part of kind of like the biomechanical structure of your mouth. I guess I'm guessing, right? But I'm trying to work through this with you right now. Could it be what you're breaking the fast with? My ideal way to break a longer fast is with a little bit of fruit or a little bit of broth or something like that. Would that help ease the digestive transition? Okay. When I've done longer fasts, always Dr. Herbert Shelton and all the great natural hygienists always recommended breaking it with a little bit of fruit. But what if you break it with something that has a little bit of histamines in it and your body doesn't do well with that? So there are ways of looking at that. None of this seems harmful overall, but of course we're trying to figure out the answer to what it is. What if we broke the fast with a smoothie and we kind of just used our mouth lightly to kind of like chew that smoothie? Would that work? So Daniel, the way that I figure things out is I come up with the hypothesis, I test the hypothesis in multiple different ways, and I see if we're able to figure out in that way. So hopefully that helps, Daniel. Thank you for writing in, and of course, thank you for the kind words. Let's do one more question for today. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm going to be getting off my birth control in the next couple months. I'm 26 years old, currently taking the contraceptive pill, same one since 18 years old, so that's about 8 years right there. What kind of supplements would you recommend to help the process of balancing my hormones? What tests would you recommend? I just finished your 21-day detox, and I use your daily nutritional support shake every morning. After I'm off the pill, do I do another 21-day detox? What are your thoughts on this topic? Thanks for all you do, all the information you provide. I listen to your podcast pretty much every day, and I'm also a fellow New Englander up in New Hampshire. Thanks again for all your time. Stephanie, thank you for writing in, and I love New Hampshire. I hardly get to New Hampshire, but for hiking, there's almost no better place than New Hampshire, or looking to go to a lake or a lot of ski mountains. Probably not the best skiing in the world, but some pretty good mountains up there. Why don't I go to New Hampshire as often, or Vermont, which is amazing that borders there, is because I go to Maine, and Maine is like my happy place, my quiet place. I don't invite people up to my place that have a lot of negative energy or that are not in a relaxed mindset. Again, it's like my place of solitude. I live in the city, so it's like that juxtaposition. Anyway, reminiscing about New England. So, and if anybody's ever looking to visit New England, no better time than in the fall. Check out the beautiful, crisp weather, late September, early October with the foliage. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. All right, so what can I say? How can I help? Well, here's the thing. If you have a healthy body, if you are taking daily foundational protocol level 3, that's what I recommend maintaining with, or even just level 2. Get your omegas in. Get your probiotic, okay? Because remember, birth control wipes out a lot of good bacteria in the gut. Make sure your digestion's strong. Keep doing your smoothie every morning. And within about 3 to 4 months, you will hopefully get back your normal cycle. If that does not happen, then we run the thyroid adrenal hormone test right away, okay? If you don't get back to that normal 28-day cycle. So pretty straightforward. I don't like to overdo when we don't need to overdo. Now, if you want to start somewhere before the thyroid adrenal hormone lab, I would recommend the starter kit, which is the hair tissue mineral analysis to look at all of your mineral levels and stress, as well as toxic heavy metals that can sometimes accumulate with birth control, and then also gut function and vitamin levels with your organic acids test. We call that the starter kit. Nice little discount on that over at Equilibrium Nutrition. And happy to say there's a new financing lab plan, which is, I think, really great so that people can afford these labs anywhere in the world. And the last part is if you wanted to run the omega-3 test, couldn't recommend that enough to make sure you're at the right dosage of omega-3s. That is it, everybody, for today. We just got up to April 15th in questions. We've got a couple more from April 15th. Anton will be leading us off tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow. We've got another 5 to 10 questions being answered on the Cabral HouseCalls. Thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. And again, thank you all for tuning in to the Cabral Concept. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.